Hello everyone, welcome to Chit-Chat Tuesday, and I'm delighted to be joined with the wonderful Jade from Spiritual Senses Paranormal, and we've kind of done a little bits together, some to do with my past life regression work, and I thought it'd be real nice for us to have a bit of a chat and welcome everybody so you can ask your own questions as well. So we delve in a little bit into how Jade got into this field, how she started realising that she had senses as a medium, the work that she does, and some of her paranormal investigations, and we'll just kind of see how the chat goes. I want to say hello to Kelly, who's just said hi, welcome to Chit Chat Tuesday. So Jade, thank you for joining me today. Is there anything you feel that you want to add to what I've said at the beginning?
No, I think it's all good. All good. Just say hello to everyone, really. Say hello to the new faces that I've not seen before, and hello to anyone from my side that's jumped on.
Brilliant. We have Karen who's here, Holly who's here, Patricia. I'd like to say to Patricia a happy birthday to you. The wonderful Nanny Lynn Sindri, wonderful wonder lady Michaela. Hello to you, and yeah, lots and lots of hellos. So I will be as best as I can with keeping my eye on my camera up here, looking at Jade, and the conversations going up in the corner to say hello to as many of you as possible. And please, please, please get your questions in as well. So yes, let's get this up here. Yeah, so happy birthday, Patricia, and anybody else's birthday whose birthday it is today, or somebody you know, do say, and we'll wish you a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Lovely, Jade. So what would be really fascinating, because I've seen your lives, but I never truly knew how you got into this field of mediumship, the paranormal, and you said you had a particularly interesting experience whilst you were 7, so we'll have a bit of a chat beforehand, but I didn't get to know what it is, so with bated breath, I would love to know what it is as well, please.
Okay, so I had a experience when I was 4, but the one when I was 7 really stood out for me because I remember being asleep and I had woken up out my bed. I was sitting upright in bed, and I remember the whole room being dark. Door was closed, no one was in there, and I remember looking to my right, and there was a lady standing in my room, and I was a bit like, "Who is this woman?" Like, I didn't know whether to be scared or not, but I was a bit more like, "How did she get in?" She didn't say anything to me. We never had a conversation. We literally just locked eyes, and that was it. I ended up telling my mum the next day, and she asked me what this lady looked like. So I described her clothing, handbag she had on her arm, her hair, everything down to a T of what I saw. And my mum was like, "I think I know who you're going on about." So that day we went to my grandparents' house, and my mum got out some photos, old photos of one of my family relatives' wedding days. I don't know whose it was now. It might have been my nan's sisters. And we were going through them, and my mum said, "Have a look at this one here. Let me know if the lady you saw last night was in this photo." So I'm scanning the photo. There's quite a few people in the photo, and there she was. I pointed her out and I said, "That's her." And my mum was like, "That's my nan. My nan passed when my mum was a baby, and I never knew her, met her, or
Oh.
anything." Yeah, it was a weird, strange encounter, but it was quite nice as well to know that it was a family relative visiting. Just a bit strange that there was no conversation, really. But I mean, at that age, you don't really understand. So
No. But
for
that's
me,
incredible, though.
yeah, it was. It's something that I will never forget. It still sticks in my mind as clear as it, like if it was yesterday.
That's really cool. I'm just going to say hello to Karen, Sandy, Kerry. Have I said hello to you, Matthew? There's Lucy. I
They're
think I
all
said
from
hello.
my side. Hi guys.
Wonderful. Thank you for letting people know about that. Matthew, I think I said Nigella, Nigel, sorry. Start again. Right. So I'd love to know about the experience you had at 4 as well.
Yeah. The one at the age of 4 was less of a memory to the 7. I'm from the North Pole. Bless you. Yeah, the 4 year experience was not as clear to me as the time when I was 7. I would say from 7 onwards was when I started to get a lot more sort of knowing. Not so much with the fact that they were spirit or understanding it, but seeing more. And it progressed up until I was in my teens. And then, you know, you go through a bit of a rebel stage when you're a teenager, so you kind of shut yourself off, I guess. I still had experiences, but nothing to really shout about. It was only until I got into, well, it was when I was pregnant, actually, I noticed that things started up again, and they would be quite full on. Not bad, but you would know something was there that you couldn't see or people wouldn't be able to see. So a lot around my pregnancy. So I definitely felt, you know, protected around those stages of my life as well, which was quite nice. And yeah, it's just progressed from there really. In my adult years more than my child, I suppose, because I didn't really understand it then. But there was a lot that I had sort of saw, heard, felt when I was a kid.
Brilliant. And there's hello to Joe is here. Sam, hello to you. Madly, hello to you. Layla, I think it is. It's kind of passed up now, but I think that's Nina. Hello to you. Michelle, hello to you. So some lovely, wonderful names coming on. If I have missed anybody, I really do apologise. So yeah, when was it that you actually thought to yourself, you know, I'm going to start putting myself out there with the mediumship? Because I know for many people they kind of keep it to themselves quite a bit. So when was your first adventure in, and then eventually leading up to the wonderful Facebook page that you run?
Well, it actually started off with something quite negative.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was going through a bit of a hardship at some point in my life. This was about
Sorry
3
to
years.
hear that.
That's okay. And I actually went through a bit of a breakdown for about 3 months. Very difficult with 4 kids and having to keep everything running. And it was, I don't know, it was really strange. It was like something pushed me. And I kind of, the more I thought about it, the more it kind of got me out that hole, if that makes sense. I felt like I was in it forever. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what my purpose was. I knew I was a mum, but I just didn't feel like I was doing the right job. So I struggled for a while, for a few months, and every day the thought of readings kept coming out, just kept coming on and on and on and on, and to the point where I couldn't actually push it out of my head anymore. So I thought, I'm just going to give them a go. I'm just going to give it a go. And obviously I had my first deck gifted to me, which I never ever touched because I couldn't get on with them. So I ended up buying myself a deck, and I started exploring on this website, really random strangers, didn't know them from Adam, and started off with like little bits of guidance, and then I would then start pulling through spirit and start giving them, you know, messages from their loved ones. Got really good feedback from that. Still took me a little while before I thought, let's take it to social media. But when I eventually did go over to social media, I actually started on Instagram. And I literally started with about 8 people. I had 8 people every time I went live. There was no more than that. And it would be the same people over and over again. So it was nice to have those supporters there, but it just never seemed to have expanded on it like Instagram. And I kept at it for a little while. I enjoyed it as it was. I still had a few confidence sort of issues on there, so I wasn't sort of up to scratch as such. I had a lot of work to do with myself. It wasn't just something you could just jump straight into, no matter if you're natural or not. You've got to work with it. And I ended up having a reading with a medium, and my nan came through. My nan that I sadly never met, but she came through and she said, you know, you need to start expanding. So, you know, coming away from Instagram, going on to Facebook, and spoke about saying that eventually I'll be at a stage where I'm actually on the stage reading for people. So I was a bit like, wow, blown away. And it was about a few weeks after that of kind of to and fro decisions, whether to or not, very nervous. And then I went for it, just created the page on Facebook, threw myself into a live, and I ended up having like over 150 people watching. So that was very nerve-wracking from the 8 people that I had. But it just flowed. At first I was very nervous, and then after that I was away with the fairies, and it's just been natural since. Really
Brilliant. That's really, really good, and so positive from something which was a very difficult time for you as
Yeah.
well. I'm going to say Alison is here, Maureen is here, Wendy is here, and Jules is here. I think I said Karen, but hello to you again anyway. Lorna is here, Charlotte is here. I'm sure I saw Rachel. Yes, I didn't say hello to Rachel. Hello, Rachel. Debbie, hello to you. I think that's what it said. And also as well, welcome to Chit Chat Tuesday, and also as well, happy summer solstice to everybody as well, which is an important magical day today. I totally think so. There's bound to be, oh, that's really nice from, oh, that's the wrong one, it's jumped up. As soon as I tried to click the button, it jumped up, but yeah, that's a lovely message from Charlotte there. So there's going to be people maybe watching this or watching at some point in the future that are picking up on a few bits and pieces, thinking about even starting, maybe going on Instagram and being a little bit nervous, and also as well, it's a big jump from 8 to the number over 100 that you had.
Oh yeah.
Is there any sort of advice for somebody that's coming to it and kind of wanting to follow in what you're doing?
Just be yourself. Be yourself. Try not to put too much pressure on yourself. I think when you start doing that, or you start feeling as though you have to be something, that's when it will go wrong. So for me, the best advice I can give is just be yourself, go with the flow, no pressure, do not force it. Whatever comes to you, comes to you. Whatever doesn't matter. It's what do they call it? It's off the water off the duck's back, and that's it.
Perfect. From your own confidence, you have helped boost so many others, especially mine. In fact, that's lovely to hear that, Matthew. And there's lots of Maureen says proud of you. And from Nanny Lynn Sindri, Jade is a wonderful and lovely, genuine lady. And I absolutely second that as well.
Thank you.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit about your services before we get into some of the paranormal investigation. Something that I'm really intrigued by is I see on a list of things to do, and also as well, do go onto Jade's website. It's fantastic, the services that Jade offers is the past, present and future cards, and you can do it on I think you have it down as being a 3 cards, a 4 cards and a 5 cards. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
what the difference between 3 and 4 is, and yeah, how the whole process runs out.
So with the 3 cards, obviously pretty much, quite there in front of you, past, present and future. So you pull 3 cards, you'd have your past card, you'd have your present and you'd have your future. Not everyone works the same. Everyone kind of has their own unique way of working with cards. So I wouldn't want anyone to just take what I go with, because everyone's completely different and my way might not be someone else's way. But usually with the 4 cards, I still do the past, I still do the present, and then I will do kind of like future cards and someone with the 5 as well. Depending on what's going on with the present as well. It depends what comes out. So you might find sometimes for me, it might be 2 cards at the beginning will be both the past, and then you'll have a present and then the future. But it just depends what spirit really want to kind of target, I guess, in some way, or kind of outshine on subjects throughout your life. It's almost as if I find with the past as well and the present, it's like spirit are kind of allowing me to have those messages so that I can give them something that I wouldn't know that they could actually take straight away. Kind of like a little bit of because you get people out there, you get skeptics, you get people that are open-minded, but they're still a little bit unsure. It kind of gives them that little bit of reassurance, I guess, to know that they're with the right person in terms of mediumship, going to the right one, and that they can trust you. I think the biggest thing for a medium is having people that can fully trust you. And I would say to anyone out there, if you do go with a medium, make sure you find the right one. What I might be able to do for some people might not work for others. They might want to go to somebody else. So definitely keep your options open in terms of mediumships, because everyone has a different way of working, and there's some ways that people prefer over others. And some people are just generally more spot on than others. It depends how they work. So that would be my bit of advice to people as well. Always, your medium. I don't know how, but you just know. You know who's the right one for you, and you kind of, I always say to anyone, when you find that right one, stick with them, because you will find the connection there is so much easier for the medium itself and for the person. And you actually create a nice bonding with that person as well. It's not about finding out who they are. You don't need to know the ins and outs of their life. You're supposed to tell them that. But it's nice to kind of have that connection with someone, especially when they come back for more. It's nice to know that they can trust you enough and enjoy your work that much to want to come back. That's what I live for anyway. That's what gets me through maybe some hard times when, I'm having a bad day or something. Things like that get me through.
Absolutely. And there's been so many beautiful and wonderful comments coming up. I'm going to read one of them out here, but there's so many that are coming up. It was hard to choose all of them. I was flashing some up from time to time, but a reading I had a few weeks ago was 100% spot on. It helped me find my inner voice, always really important, and get my confidence up to be more me. That's such a wonderful, and I'm really happy for you as well that you found your inner voice. And there's lots of others. If you have any questions for Jade, please get that up. There's lots and lots of good things. Maureen, you're amazing, Jade. You have helped so many. Thank you for everything you do for us. You for brightening our loved ones through. It brightens us so much comfort. Lovely stuff. So you also do spirit readings as well. Anything you want to say about the spirit readings as well, and how that, I mean, obviously it's not past, present and future, but how that is?
So basically what I do is I go on video call with whoever's booked in, and I kind of get myself tuned. Before I even go on the video call, I kind of get myself tuned in. I connect with my guides, connect with the angels, make sure that I'm protected, I'm safe throughout the session. And when I then go on to video call, I connect with that person's energy. Now, it can go either way with spirit readings, just because some people come on and they are there for a specific spirit. That doesn't work just like that. Sometimes, having an item of someone, so if you're doing a face-to-face reading and you've got, I don't know, a piece of jewellery or a photo or something that connects with that person, it may just be that little easier to bring them forward. But when you're kind of doing it off of someone's energy, if a spirit wants to come through, whether you want them specifically or not, they will come through. And how it tends to work is I will kind of give my guides the get-go, spirit are allowed through, positive ones only. And then I start to get this kind of like gush of energy coming in. Sometimes it's a little bit chilled, depending on how eager they are. Some are very eager, some are very pushy. But you have to set your boundaries with spirit, even if they are nice, because some of them do like to take the biscuit a little bit. So you have to kind of tell them, you're using me as a vessel to get through to your loved one here on earth, and you need to step back a little bit, and then we will go. So it's a bit like talking to someone that's actually here, sometimes you have to set boundaries with them too. You have to do the same with spirit. You treat them exactly the same as you would with us, because they were once us as well. So, yeah.
And it'd be interesting, because I know you sometimes do readings. Is that on your, as well, like group ones? Is that on your main sort of page anybody can see, or is that on members that you do like readings for people?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of readings, live readings on my main page. But I kind of stopped that for a little while just because of timings in my life. At the minute, I've got, 4 young kids, and obviously at the minute it's a bit chaotic. But I do have a subscription group as well, which is £5 a month. I have a lovely bundle of members in there that I call my spiritual family. We all get on very well. It's a very nice place to be. Very, I would say a safe place for people, especially ones that are vulnerable.
Yes.
Like they're alone and don't really have a lot of friends sort of on the outside of that. I kind of do my readings in there majority of the time. A few weeks back, I've done some readings on the main live, but it's very rare. I would like to go back to the main page though.
Yeah.
Started.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for people, I mean, like it's got 15-minute chakra reading 150. So I mean, it you can have a little dip in as well, because I have noticed a few questions asking about general readings and things, and I know with some mediums they like to kind of go, right, I'm working now, and they kind of get themselves ready, which is a great sort of next question. And thank you so much for your comment there, and again showing how good Jade really is at what she does. But when you get into, I mean, is there a routine that you kind of go through? Because I know different mediums work in different ways. I know some people, they like to kind of go, right, I'm going to do readings for people, and they do like a little ritual or protection. What are the things that you do before starting off and going in for readings?
Well, I mean, obviously, because my life's quite chaotic, it's not that easy to kind of just go and have a little meditation before you start and shut down, sort of thing, like kind of not close yourself off, but relax.
Yes.
Sometimes I've gone straight into readings and I haven't even been able to have time to kind of like do that. But it still works. It still works for me because it does come so naturally. But I do find I definitely work better once I've had that reading session, spoke to my guides, kind of got the protection and everything that I need, and give them to allow spirit to come through. But there's times where I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm always open, but fully open. I could just be sitting there on my phone or watching TV and spirit will just pop in. I've been laying in bed asleep and spirit have woken me up. So it doesn't have to be sitting down and getting ready to do a reading, but it's got a lot better on that front in terms of interrupting my own time, because I put boundaries out there. But I just tend to connect with my guides and kind of have a little conversation with them, I would say, and get myself into relax mode.
Sure. I've got a question. Laura, you might be able to see it at the side. I'll pull it up if you're happy to ask that one. Laura Nicole, you happy with me to get that one up?
I can't, oh, can I see the comments?
I will pull it up in a second. Yeah,
So
you want for me to... Yeah, so yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to check because I didn't want to ask anything that was going to be potentially awkward for you. So I'm wondering if you've ever had a reading for someone that you had no future. I hope that's okay to ask.
So do you mean in terms of doing a reading and not being able to pick up anything?
I'm wondering if it means that they kind of haven't got long. That's what I read it as.
I will see whether she actually means that. If she could just elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. Good. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the things with chakra readings, and a lot of spiritual people know about chakras and to do them. If you can explain about the chakras, I mean, I know tip of the iceberg of chakras, but for those that don't really know about it and how that works into the readings.
Yeah. So with obviously being a medium as well, like your chakras are okay. I'll answer that for you in a minute, Lorna. So chakras are very important, very, very important for everyone, really, not just on a spiritual sort of level. And not many people understand what chakras are about, or what they kind of good for and how they tend to work. But usually if your blocks or your chakras are out of line, you don't tend to kind of work well spiritually. You might even find that you have mood swings or your energy's just off. So if you find you're having kind of a bit of a bad day, there's certain aspects of different parts of your chakras that could be blocked. It depends on what it is that you're struggling with. So people that are struggling with being vocal or being able to express their emotions or their feelings vocally, then that would mean that they'd have a problem with their throat chakra, which would mean they need to kind of do a meditation to unblock or align that chakra in order to be able to speak up and be vocal about how they feel without hurting anyone's feelings. All the chakras are for different reasons. So it would depend on what people would want to know about the chakras, really, because there's a lot to do with chakras. And I've actually got my my amethyst with my chakra on my pendant as well.
Brilliant.
There you go. My sister-in-law made that, Crystal Clarity, Nina. She should be in the comments. She makes a lot of jewellery as well, so I just thought I'd give her a quick shout out, Crystal Clarity. If you're into crystals, she does make a lovely load of crystal jewellery at good prices.
Wonderful. And before we get on to the next question is I heard that somebody was advertising their own work. At the bottom it says, please don't do that. You get a warning. If you do it again, then you get removed. But if it happens again, could you just bring attention to me? Because there's loads and loads of questions coming up, and it actually becomes very difficult to see. And I know there's some mods on, so I can't see it. So maybe a mod actually has taken off the comment. But this is the time for me to speak to Jade at the moment, ask all about her, and please respect that and don't advertise your own work. So good. Now that's out of the way, we can continue with the show.
That was being advertising my sister-in-law. I do apologise.
No. You can advertise anybody you like, Jade, as you're on here, but you get people that pop up and say, message me for readings and things like that. So yeah, so that's your warning, and I'll be keeping an extra eye out at the side here should anybody be doing that again. It'd be really cool to talk about some of the paranormal investigations, and one of there's something here which is called Twisted Cemetery, and I did see a bit of it, and I couldn't see why it was called Twisted Cemetery. If you can say about that location and what it's all about.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm not a lover of graveyards. You would think that would be really weird for a medium to say that, bearing in mind there's dead people in a graveyard, you know, it's probably the best place to go. But I find them very boring, personally. I'm not really into those. I prefer abandoned buildings. I like the atmosphere. But this particular graveyard really caught my attention. The minute I walked in, I felt very drawn to it. I instantly got a name, and I went around every single gravestone to find this name. And I literally did go around the whole graveyard to find it. We eventually found two with the same name, but I weren't sure which one it was. But I kind of felt at ease after that. And the activity there was, I can't really explain it. It was quite full on for what I'm normally used to at a graveyard. Usually I find them quite peaceful, quite quiet. This one was very active. And the reason why it was called Twisted Cemetery was because one of the things that kept coming out was Twisted Tree. The tree at the graveyard was actually entwined. It was twisted. So that was very, very interesting for the act to come out and say that through what we believe is spirit coming through the act. And there was a lot of relevance coming through to that area. So we got a lot of kind of witchy stuff coming through with regards to that tree and that cemetery. So yeah, there was a lot going on there. And one of my team members actually went really funny whilst doing an actual experiment. So yeah, it was interesting. We kind of done like a little location check just in subs there, and it was quite full on then. So we went back and decided to do a main hunt on the live, and that was, yeah, very interesting.
Fantastic. And we kind of spoke a little bit about this at the beginning, what got you and becoming a medium and your experiences you had as a child. Is there anything else, as Charlotte's asked a question, that you want to add into that at all, Jade?
Oh, I definitely feel like it was my calling. Even from a very young age, even though I didn't understand what it was I was seeing, or knowing that they were spirit, I felt very at home with it all, if that makes sense. And I was always into horror films as a child, like paranormal films. I still am. I'm still into all that sort of stuff. I just enjoy it. I used to watch Most Haunted with my mum. All that sort of stuff. I loved it. I was into every aspect of spirit. And even as a kid, I remember my mum having like this Winnie the Pooh toy that was my sister's, and it kept going off. And I would ask spirit to set it off again. And I was only young, and it would actually go off. So it's definitely something that's been with me. It should have been with me and always has been. And it's something I'm never going to get away from, I don't think. I've tried to shut it down a few times when I've kind of gone through a bit of a bad stage thinking I can't do this anymore. But it always keeps coming back. I've got no way of getting away. But I enjoy it. So I don't actually want to come away from it. I enjoy being able to bring peace to people and being able to pass on messages, that some answers maybe that people have had unanswered when their loved ones have passed over. It could be something minor like, are they okay? Did they find their way to spirit world okay? That kind of stuff. Just puts someone's mind at rest a little bit. Absolutely.
Have I said hello to you, Sandy? I'm not sure if I have. If I haven't, I do apologise. Hello to you. Welcome to Chit Chat Tuesday. Denise, I don't think I've said hello to you yet. Hello to you. And if anybody I've missed saying hello to, I really do apologise. So this question comes from my dear friend Lynn. Jay, do you prefer the apps, or are you more old school like me?
Old school, 100%. We use the apps, don't get me wrong, we do use devices, but I do believe that you definitely get more, or I feel more genuine responses through doing the old school methods. Yeah, 100%.
I'm a big fan of EVP. I do like that.
Yeah.
So if you were to choose any of the apps or EVPs or equipment at all, what would you say is your go-to for an investigation?
See, I do like the rods. They are the copper rods that we use to communicate with spirit. We obviously have to be careful with which locations we're at with in terms of that, because those rods do get drawn to water. So if we're near water, we have to be careful and kind of rule everything out. So I don't mind them depending on what location, but I do like the EVP too, just because it's so interesting to listen back and be able to capture a voice that you wouldn't have necessarily heard with your own ears. So yeah, I would say EVP is probably up there for me.
Kathlina, I mean, Jade's fantastic. So it's brilliant to have Jade on the show. It is really good, and got such a fascinating. I'm really happy to be finding all these extra bits and pieces that I never knew about yourself before, Jade. So I'm just going to pull up another couple of. So I'm not texting anybody when I look at this. I've just made notes on the phone. So that is purely what I am doing. There was another one which seemed really interesting, the death pool. And it had a little skull next to the... So the death pool, if you can explain about that investigation.
Oh, yes. So silent pool. That was very interesting. It was quiet at times, but then it would then kind of like build energy again. There was that location and another location that we went to where I actually had the same lady come through, and I actually heard her voice right directly in my ear say her name. I'm still trying to work out if she's actually a spirit guide of mine, but she's been on 2 different locations with me now, which is quite strange. But I don't know if I picked her up from a location or not. But Silent Pool was a little bit 50-50 for me, I think. I think most of my team found it very interesting, but it did, as I said, it did go quiet at times. For me, as a medium, my mind's always very busy in terms of spirit. So when I have a very quiet time in my house with no spirit activity, or if we go to a location that's very quiet, I tend to get bored very easily. I like to have a consistent kind of conversation. Sorry, 1 second. My son's just walking.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely. And yes, I'll be asking your question. And a couple of people asked this one. So do you like the FL, if I'm saying that right,
Yeah.
method?
Yeah.
Yes, say about, and just to say I had to block somebody. I gave a warning and they continued. So sorry you had to go for that particular reason. Right, if you can say about this method, it would be brilliant.
Yes, so the Ethel method, I mean, we never come up with the name. I do believe someone else in the paranormal community come up with it. But we come up with it. So the Ethel method is basically where the earphones are put on. You are linked to the app, so Necrophonics, the SRS, where the voices come through. And we repeat the voice, we repeat what's being said over the app. So what we would do is we would stand a certain distance away from the person that has the earphones on. And we would then ask questions very silently to see whether they come back with, very good responses to our questions. Recently, some other teams do it, but recently we have started doing blinded Ethel method. So we take 2 senses away to see how that person would feel. It definitely heightens things a bit more because you then become vulnerable. Spirit like vulnerable people. So you tend to find that it comes through a little bit more. You feel more within yourself when you're doing that. But you have to make sure that someone is feeling okay mentally to do things like this as well, because being quite low mental wise can kind of draw in more negative spirit. So I always make sure that my team are okay and they're feeling comfortable and safe to do whatever they want to do. Matt sometimes usually does the Ethel method. Matthew Webb, he's one of my team members. He tends to like this one. And yeah, that's pretty much what the Ethel method is. It's just being kind of taking the senses away. So the earphones, being blindfolded and just being able to repeat what comes out. If it makes sense to our question, great. If it doesn't, we move forward and ask another one.
Is there any questions that have come up through that method or any others that haven't made any sense at the time, but it's when you've gone back afterwards and possibly found out more information about where you're at that what has been said kind of makes sense, and can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I can't pinpoint exactly what, but there has been plenty of those kind of things happen. See, I don't tend to do the history when we go out because I like to kind of go there, not know anything and just go with my mediumship. I don't use my mediumship a lot when I'm out, just because I kind of want to do things that people can see, because it's kind of like about the audience when you're out. So for me, you want to do things that are going to allow the audience to feel included. If I'm doing my mediumship, I'm kind of just doing what I do on a live when I do readings. So for me, I try to pray just a little bit. And I'm kind of like there as a backup for my team members who don't feel or see anything negative. So if I feel that kind of energy coming in, or I see something I don't like, I'm kind of like the siren that goes off and like, team, this is this. And yeah. So yeah, there's been plenty of occasions where things haven't made sense, and we've then kind of done a history search of the place after. Even with people in the chat, like that, we always say to everyone, if you feel anything, see anything, or you get any names or anything, any words that you feel that make sense, or to you, or you feel like that's connected in some way, put it in the comments. Don't feel stupid about it. We will do a history kind of check. And to be honest, there's been a lot of things that people have said in the comments that have actually kind of tallied up with the history. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Brilliant. That's amazing stuff. And I know there's so many people out there, because you know about protection and all that, but there's so many people that basically they will get some apps and go out, paranormal investigation, ghost hunting, whatever you call it, and there might be more unpleasant spirits about. For people that don't really protect themselves, what's a good first step to do that, rather than just, I've got the apps, I'm out, I go?
Well, first of all, that aggravates me. Just because I know how, like, people, I understand that people find a really big interest in this. Like, a lot of people love the paranormal just as much as I do. But I think with the way I work with spirit, I kind of know more what's out there than that people actually realise. I do tend to find that my subs might find me boring, because I'm always whinging when they're on the board and stuff. I will be like, don't do this, don't do that, or, you know, be careful, do this. I'm kind of like mumsy. I go in mumsy mode. And I do think I get on their nerves a little bit with that, but they have to understand how dangerous these things can be. I'm not one to allow my team members to be in any sort of danger. So for anyone that goes out and wants to do any investigations on their own, whether it be daytime or nighttime, my advice would be to you, make sure you have sage, so that you can sage yourself before and after. And even if you haven't connected with your guide yet, or you feel silly for doing so, call out to your guides and ask them for protection before you start. And make sure that you set your intentions clearly, that you do not want to connect with anything dark or negative, and only positive and light. And that is all I can advise. If you go out unknowingly and you're not willing to protect yourself in any way, shape or form, the only thing that I can say to you is more for you. It's not, some people just think you're going out and it's, you know, it's a bit of fun, connect to spirit, go home. You don't know what you're bringing back with you, for starters. And it can get quite dangerous. It's very rare, but it can happen. And I just want people to see the dangers in that as well. It's not just for fun. So when we go out and enjoy ourselves, we do enjoy ourselves. We do like to have a laugh to build the energy, but we're not there to have fun. We're there to produce a live. We're there to kind of be serious, to connect with spirit, because some spirit find that kind of behaviour quite rude as well. And you'll find you won't get as much activity if you're being rude, or, you know, if you're acting a certain way. So I always say to my team members, there's a time to be funny and have a laugh, then there's a time to be serious. So I am definitely serious in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there was some things. People, lots of comments coming up the side saying never boring, which we know that's true. But yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely never boring. Now this is kind of what we spoke right at the beginning, but I think Gillian must have come slightly later into this. So is there anything else that was your calling? Because if you go back to the beginning, Gillian, we'll say the first
Yeah.
experiences that Jade had. But anything else you want to add to that?
Just a little short one for you, Gillian. So I've always had this. Didn't really understand it as a kid when I had experiences. Wouldn't say I understood that they were dead people, as such, but it was very confusing at the time until I started to become older and start understanding what it was that I was seeing. There was one actually particular time where I was in middle school. We had, primary school, middle school, high school back then. It's all different now, but I was in middle school at the time, and I remember sitting on the field with a few of my mates at the back of the school. Now, there was a lot of stories going around that the toilets in the school were haunted and blah, blah, blah. So everyone used to go and mess around, do Bloody Mary in the mirrors and stuff like that. There was one particular time we were sitting on the field, and just at the back of the school behind the actual fence, there was an abandoned factory. So the windows were all broken and stuff. And I remember we was all sitting there talking in a circle, and I remember looking up and seeing a little girl at the window. And I said to my friends, does anyone else see that? And they looked up and I was like, what? And I said, there's a little girl standing there. Well, of course, they all look at me like I'm crazy. So then I feel stupid because I'm just like, well, why am I seeing it and they're not? And this was around the age of 10, 11. So that's when I started to realise that I was a little bit different to everybody else, but not in a bad way. I just thought, okay, there's something not right with me that I'm not quite sure of yet. And until I got more knowing and understood what it was, I then became more accepting, I guess. But I came into this, Gillian, only 2 or 3 years ago, actually, like actually properly started doing it myself. But it's always been there. And definitely always been my calling. But what brought me there was actually for a mental breakdown. So kind of, kind of appreciate the breakdown now, I guess, because it pushed me to be where I need to be.
Yeah, I find that with life is that sometimes what you is most painful is also your greatest lesson and where it gets you somewhere in the end if you listen to that voice inside. Haley, she's amazing with protection. Asked 3 times. I had someone take me over and she's been fantastic every time. Should because I know about protection and I do that when I go to places. But if I was ever with anybody and somebody started being taken over, I wouldn't have a clue what to do. So what can be done if anybody is in that? I don't really go out on investigations these days, but should ever I be in that sort of situation and there's no medium about, what can you do to help?
It would depend on who the person was as well, because I find with it being my team members, I find a familiar voice, someone that's quite grounded and calm, because 9 times out of 10, someone in my team might be a little bit panicked or find it a bit strange that one of them have gone like that. So I find that kind of just being relaxed and calm and grounded in that situation and being able to speak to them with a familiar voice tends to help them come back round. We've never got to a stage where it's been very negative, like a negative experience of being taken over as such. Probably on the borders, but not to that extent. So I've never got to that extent of being able to deal with that. But in terms of bringing someone around, it's just a case of being grounded and calm at all times, being able to speak to them with a familiar voice and try and bring that person back through rather than continuing the conversation with spirit. So I would tend to just get my energy to push them back and be able to bring that person who's in that body back forward. And I'd say it's simple as that. It's not simple. If it kind of didn't work out that way for me, then I'd be like, what do I do now? But yeah, in terms of that, yes, that's how I would normally do it.
Perfect. And I think there's a new Lola. I don't think I've said hello to you yet. Also, as well, I did see my friend Leah on earlier, and I didn't say hi because there's loads of people coming up. So I do apologise for that, Leah. If you're watching, hello to you. Welcome to Chit Chat Tuesday, and happy solstice, and happy solstice to everybody new that has joined. So we've got a question here from the lovely Nanny Lynn. Did you find that your journey and learning came from several different levels? Jade.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. I don't know if this is going to actually answer your question or not, but I mean, even from a young age, I felt different kind of spirit around me. Now, these could have been my guides. I wouldn't know for sure just because I wasn't very understanding of that sort of stuff at that point. But I always, no matter where I went or what I did, or even if I had an experience with spirit, I always felt protected and I always felt pushed in that direction of connecting with spirit. I always spoke to spirit as a child, like not just having conversations, but even if I couldn't see them physically, I would feel them around and I would make sure that I have a conversation because I know they're listening. There's been weird experiences throughout the years that I've had as a child. But I don't know if I've answered Nanny Lynn's question as to what she would like me to answer. If there's
Yeah, absolutely.
elaborate a little more on that question, I'd be able to answer.
Absolutely. Dree, I think it is. Hello to you. I think I said hello to Joe. It might be a different Joe. Leah, oh yes, you're here. Hello, Leah. Good that you're still watching. Now, I think it'd be nice to say it's summer solstice at the moment, and there's other sort of special calendar years like the summer solstice, the equinox, Halloween, Christmas, New Year. Is there any times of the year where you find the energy is better? Or is it just hearsay when people say the energy is so much better at these certain times? So how do you feel about that?
I'm going to be biased here and say Halloween just because Halloween is what I don't know what it is, but Halloween's the favourite time of the year for me. I don't know if that's because of what I do or if it's just something I'm generally interested in. I don't know. But again, as I said, as a child, I was always into paranormal, horror-y stuff. And that's never left me. So Halloween definitely is my favourite time. I don't, as I said, it could be just to do with the fact that it's to do with scary stuff. But I definitely do feel like my energy is more heightened around that time, 100%. And when there's a full moon as well.
Yeah. Charlotte said full moon as well, most definitely. So I pulled up just a couple of random investigations that you've been on. Can you remember the first paranormal investigation that you went on?
Yes, I do.
How was that? I know you have to share where it was because I know certain places.
Yes,
people don't.
It was St Mary's Church. So again, it was a graveyard. Again, I'm not very into graveyards, so it didn't really take my interest until it was dark. The energy definitely shifts and changes through day and night. So when we first started the live, it was quite light still because it was summer. But as it got darker, the energy definitely shifted and there was more kind of different feelings going on, and that kind of intrigued me. So I don't work with darkness. I work in love and light, but I am intrigued by the dark. So not in terms of I want to work with it in any way, shape or form, but it's kind of brought me to the path of wanting to study demonology and get a certificate out of it and be what's the word? I can't think of it right now. Just to be experienced in the demonology part. I want to do a lot of demonology kind of studying. To be getting that certificate at the end of it, qualified, that's the word. I want to be a qualified demonologist.
That sounds really cool. Hello, Carol. Good to see you there. Gillian said that that's amazing. I had a very close friend who loved visiting haunted places and took photos, but there was only me that could see anything in the pictures that they didn't. So, I mean, other times, because I just sort of say as well, one, if anything's happened to you similar to what Gillian has just said there, or whether there's been other times before actually thinking, yeah, I have this mediumship ability, that you've seen people that others couldn't see.
Yeah, there's always been situations where I've had friends sleepovers. So I've gone to a friend's house, we've had sleepovers, and I've always felt something about. I wouldn't necessarily say it straight away because I wouldn't know if they'd find me weird or not. Especially in high school, it wouldn't be something we'd talk about. But we'd kind of be sort of talking amongst ourselves and I would then see someone walk in, but no one else would retaliate to that person walking in but me. So I would then question myself. And I did at one stage think I actually was going crazy. But yeah, generally when you see things that other people don't, it means you've got a special gift. So Gillian, you may want to, if you are open to the idea of opening yourself up.
Brilliant. Hayley, what's your favourite experiment? So I've read that as equipment to begin with, and why. As I say hello, Carol? If I didn't, sorry, hello, Carol. Right, sorry, Jade.
Experiment. There's a few for me. I'd have to say the human pendulum, one of them. So for anyone that doesn't know what the human pendulum is, you basically have someone in the middle who's blindfolded, and you'd have two people either side of you, so they can catch you in case you get pushed too far, fall over. So they're kind of there for your guidance so you don't fall over. And what you would do is I would then kind of ground someone that's in the middle that's blindfolded, get them grounded, get them connected. And I would basically speak them through that, and then they would then connect with spirit. So what they would do is I would ask questions, and I would ask spirit to manipulate what way the body would go. So they would use their energy to kind of force a push or a little nudge in that direction. So yeah, that's how it worked. So if I was to ask a question and ask spirit to push someone that way and for yes and that way for no, they would then determine what answer they want to give me through that by using one of my team members' physical bodies.
Brilliant. Do you find you get different results from the human pendulum to using a pendulum or dowsing rods?
Yes. I think it depends on someone's energy at the time. And I definitely find that the rods work better with some of my team members than it actually does with myself.
Okay.
I don't tend to like to work with a lot of equipment or things. I don't know why. I just don't feel connected to them as much as my team members do. So I kind of let them do that, just because I have got the mediumship there, so I can say when there's a spirit there, or I can repeat something they tell me, whereas they can't. So that's kind of them getting involved too by using the equipment. So yeah, definitely find that certain experiments work differently for different people. And you find that certain members of my team will gravitate to a specific experiment that kind of becomes theirs. So you would have my sister-in-law, Nina. She's very good on the rods. That's kind of her thing. And Matt, again, as I said earlier, previous, he does the Ethel method, blindfolded. So yeah, it just depends. Hayley enjoys the human pendulum. She did actually get some information when she done that last time. And Hayley has never been known to receive any messages from spirit before.
Yeah, I did do the human pendulum once, and for me it didn't work, but I can't say it doesn't work for me because I only ever did it once and it didn't work after about 30 seconds, so I was told to change somebody else. But, you know, I think sometimes, like, I guess with equipment as well, because I went through a stage of getting quite a lot of EVPs, but I wouldn't get so much in the way of images or pictures. And there were times I got quite a few what I thought were quite genuine orbs as well. So I think, you know, with different things work better for different people. We've mentioned a little bit about the dark. So I think we'll do two other investigations now we'll chat about, and then I'll give you people a chance to, those that aren't followers of Jade, where you can follow, how you can get in contact with Jade. So we'll mention some of that as well, most definitely. So I like always finishing with the positive. So first of all, an investigation or place that you might have been to, it might not even be an investigation, where you thought, something's dark here, I really don't like it. And then to finish on that section talking about places, we talk about a really light, lovely place where the spirits felt nice and welcoming. So the dark one and the light one.
Okay, well, there's quite a few, but I would say the darkest one we've ever been to that was very intense was an abandoned school. I've been there several times. In fact, I've actually been there 4 times. So I did have an old team previous to this. I went there twice with them, and I've done it twice with my new team. Yeah, not a very nice experience. Definitely something that's quite intense for everybody. So not just, you know, some of my team members don't particularly have a straightforward gift like myself, but I definitely feel they've got something there because they're all picking up on different things. And we all felt it in there. It's not very nice. And every time we traveled to that location, I would always get a female in my voice when we were in the car say to me, she knows you're coming. And that, yeah, every time that happened, even with the old team that happened as well, always had that message. I don't know what it was. I don't know why they told me that. I don't know if it was a warning, but they were letting me know that she knew I was coming. So, yeah, very strange. and the intensity of the energy in there, it was almost as if you couldn't tell whether someone had actually kind of concocted these energies in there by messing around, as in children on boards and stuff don't know what they're doing, again using apps trying to connect the spirit and not knowing what they're doing, or shutting themselves down, protecting, such as that. But whatever it was in there was not very nice, and it even had me on edge, and I don't get scared very easily. There's only been a few locations that have actually had me on edge, and that was one of them. In terms of light, in terms of light, one of my team members might have to help me out here, because I'm trying to think.
Yeah, that's okay. Help out.
Yeah, definitely have been to some places that have nice energy about it, but I can't think off the top of my head. We've been to so many. I mean, it's been over a year since we've been doing it now with this team, so there has been a lot of hunts and locations. But I can't think of the top of my head light-wise. So if one of my team members are able to kind of answer that, you can pin it up. And yeah, Jade,
Good.
The wall. I think I can see a Buddha. It is a Buddha, Gillian, and I'm obsessed with them. Absolutely love Buddhas. It's like my go-to thing.
Now we have one here, the Ouija board in the park. Didn't come across that one. Can you say that please,
Yeah,
Jade?
that was I wouldn't say it was a dark one, but it was very strange. We done a board in the park, me and a few of my team members, and
with protection, in case anybody's coming new to this.
Don't worry, I always use the board with protection, and most people think that we use the board every time we go out. We don't. If I don't feel comfortable with a location, I won't take it. 9 times out of 10, I leave the house without it, because I don't believe that we need it. It's definitely something that I wouldn't advise people to play around with. So I kind of feel I only bring it out or use it when I feel it's necessary. And again, when we are on it, I trust my team members, and they listen to my kind of guidance, and I make sure that we're all protected around that board at all times. In terms of the Ouija board in the park, that was a strange one. So we connected with a few spirits on the board. Some of them were loved ones coming through for people that were on the live, and one came through for my sister-in-law, which was her mum in spirit, and it got quite emotional. But it was like the energy shifted again. It was really strange, and all of a sudden we've been surrounded by crows. In certain religions, obviously, most people class crows as omens, and others class them as messengers. So I was very intrigued, but also a little freaked, just because we were on the board and we were being surrounded by these crows. I actually went up to a crow and started speaking to it. Yeah, don't ask. It's just, it was just crazy. I just started asking it why it was following us, basically, and they all started filming me and started making videos of me looking like a weirdo talking to a crow. I would say I was freaked out, just because we've never experienced the whole crow situation before. But I don't believe it was anything. I don't feel the crow thing was a negative thing. I do believe it was more of a protection, or maybe a message to say you need to stop now. Think bad is trying to get through. So I don't believe whatever it was there at the time was negative. I believe it was kind of a warning.
Brilliant. And at this point, we're kind of about an hour into it so far, and there's more questions going through which we were asked. But for those that aren't following from you, how can they get in contact if they want services, or if they want to join your group or the members group?
So just message the page, really. So if you search for Spiritual Senses Paranormal, and message the page, you can find out more information regarding prices of privates. At the minute, I ain't doing privates, just because I don't actually have the time. I'm looking to back up in September. So privates are off limits, but if there is a chance that you're interested in readings, I am doing them over in my subs, which is £5 a month. Again, the way to want to join subs is just inbox the page, and you will be given all the information and links that you need to join and to pay. And it's as simple as that.
Fantastic. And we have another shout out about that towards the end of this as well. I mean, the Ouija boards and boards really do frighten a lot of people. and I think some people as well think they're only ever sort of bad. So I wouldn't recommend doing it, but what sort of is the first things that you do, and is there any different kind of protection you do when you're using something like the Ouija board compared to just going in and calling out? So what would that be differently?
So compared to doing my readings and opening up that way, or going out and just doing a general investigation, I mean, we always sage. We always make sure the sage is burning. So we will do it either before or after. We always make sure it's after. But what we tend to do, mainly when we're on the board, I would make sure that sage is lit and burning at the time that we're actually on it. And I always make sure that I've got a piece of tourmaline, which is actually a protective stone and also a grounding stone. And this actually repels negative energy. So I always sit that on the board as well whilst we are in use. I think it's very important to do that. A lot of people find the Ouija board a game. Some of the viewers that watch, I don't know, any paranormal team, whether it be us or someone else, when the board comes out, I understand that everyone gets very excited. But what they fail to realise is yes, it's entertainment for you, but it's actually people on the board that you need to be, a bit more respectful for, because they're the ones that are in danger if anything were to go wrong. And that does actually aggravate me a lot when I'm watching lives, seeing people kind of, making it into a game, where they're kind of like asking people to do this and do that and do this and do that on the boards. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. You can ask questions, don't get me wrong, you can ask them to ask so-and-so. But when you start seeing people kind of making jokes about it or trying to be funny, I get that laughing definitely lifts the mood, definitely builds the energy, but at the same time, you can also aggravate spirit as well, and that's not something you want, especially whilst using the board. So for me, I would say, if you are a viewer watching any paranormal team, please do not try and turn it into a game, just because the participants involved are at complete danger if anything were to go wrong. So always take it seriously in the comments, and just be respectful if they decide to finish and not do it anymore.
I just want to say yes, and brilliant advice. I got to say thank you to Urban X Panel, who has shared us on their groups. So thank you for that. That's nice. We like helping each other out, which is what it's all about, really. I mean, I actually have seen quite recently a Ouija board for sale, and basically put down sort of fun for the family kind of thing. So it's still kind of like a toy for families to play with. I mean, how dangerous really can that be?
To be honest, I don't think they should be sold as toys. It's very advertised for children. Hasbro is what kind of kickstarted the whole Ouija board game sort of thing, and I think it's very dangerous. I think this is why you find. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that Hollywood films definitely have made the Ouija board out to be a very kind of demonic, bad thing to do, which is definitely why we've got people that are kind of split in half in terms of being fearful of it and actually being excited to use it. You've got different categories of people that I find, and I do feel that people that are fearful of it, great. If you don't want to touch it, you don't need to be forced to. But I do feel like that can be through listening to horror stories, and you will find that those horror stories do actually stem from either Hollywood films or people that don't actually know what they're doing. So you are going to get good and bad stories with it, because there are going to be people out there that are going to use those boards as a game, especially skeptics or people that just think it's all fun and games, like, oh no, spirits are going to come through, this is all fake, are going to go on and mess around with it, especially teenagers. I mean, I've gone to locations where I've found a piece of paper where kids have actually made their own one. So you're just thinking, God knows what they're doing there and what they've actually brought out, or if they've opened it or closed it properly, you just don't know. So for me, I understand the people that do definitely fear it, just because there is horror stories out there. But I would say don't go always by the horror stories, because you will find that it is, as I said, from the Hollywood films that recreate and make that fear factor, or the people that actually use it incorrectly.
Nigel loves your nails. I just wanted to say that, and they are absolutely, they are fantastic. Really, really good. Claire said she had a bad experience with the boards. They're not for me. Again, I guess it's not being able to use it, not doing what you're doing. So if you live in a house or work in a venue, could be a pub, and particularly old pubs. I mean, so many old pubs have got some fantastic spiritual activity in there. What's the best thing to do to start communicating with spirit if you have a ghost in your house or anywhere really?
I think I think you definitely need to go with how you feel. If you definitely don't feel comfortable, I would then recommend you getting in a paranormal team, someone that has maybe had a few years experience, or a medium even, that definitely has that kind of background and knowledge on it, to be able to come around that you can trust, to kind of give you some information or maybe work out or find out what is going on in your house. I wouldn't necessarily recommend anyone trying to open up to it if you don't know what you're dealing with. Now, it kind of goes back to how you feel. So I would say, depending on how the spirit makes you feel, if you're still unsure about how you feel with it, because you're not sure what you're dealing with, or you're just not kind of, people just naturally fear spirit. Again, my advice would be bring in the experts. Don't do anything on your own that you're very unknowledgeable with, because that's when things tend to go wrong as well. I'm not saying for everybody. I'm not saying that happens in all cases. But I just believe that any form of divination in terms of communicating with the other side definitely has to be taken seriously.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think you have to take these things seriously, most definitely. So have you got any investigations planned coming up that you're particularly excited about, that you're happy to share? I mean, if you're not going to say the exact location, kind of sort of places where it's going to be.
There is one coming up next Saturday that we're going to. Again, it's a graveyard. I'm intrigued. I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'm intrigued because I'm not very, as I said previously, I'm not very into graveyards, but I like to give them a go. For me, graveyards they're peaceful, but I find sometimes we don't mean to be disrespectful, and we would never go out of our way to be disrespectful, but I do feel very uncomfortable going live sometimes in a graveyard, just because there are people that don't agree with those kind of things. And I would never want our team to kind of be reflected upon as disrespectful people. And some people can be funny like that, like, it's a resting place, that's people's loved ones, you shouldn't be there, that kind of thing. So I get very iffy about doing graveyards.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised really. So yeah, let's talk about, we mentioned about Halloween's a fantastic time. Maybe something that's happened to you on Halloween. It's could also be fun as well if you want to add that in.
Yeah. Oh God, Halloween. I can't think at the top of my head things that have actually gone on for me in Halloween, but I definitely feel like my energy is very heightened around that time because the as they say, the veil is thin, so connection to the other side is definitely more heightened, more easier. In terms of connecting and communicating, and full moons as well are definitely something that gets me as well. So on a full moon, my energy will literally be up here. The connection with spirit will be up here. But then as soon as the full moon's over, I then tend to dip, and that's when my mood goes down. And then I'll have kind of like low moods for the next couple of days. So I definitely like the full moon, but I don't like it at the same time, because I kind of know what's coming after, but I definitely like the heightened feel with the connection with spirit. Brilliant.
Gillian is just asking about, is your page called Spiritual Senses? Well, I know the answer to that, but if you want to say it because it's your page, Jade, no. So...
Say it, it's fine.
Yeah, so it's Spiritual Senses Paranormal is what you look for, and there will be... Oh, I haven't got the symbol here. Is the symbol you will see? It's quite sort of pink. I'll put it on the notice of this this video, so you'll be able to come across it. But yeah, that's so cool. Somebody asked here where you went for Halloween last year. Let's have a look. I've missed it now actually, because it popped up somewhere. Oh, so I can't remember that was, but Halloween where you investigated last year, somebody was quite.
I know where we went. We went to the horror house. That's the nickname for it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and the reason why that was called the horror house was because there was actually a room where someone had gone in and basically got red paint all over their hands and put it all over the walls. So it kind of gave like bloody room effects. It was really,
Yeah.
That was another one that was quite iffy for me. I don't know if it was because of how small the entrance was to get in and out. So our minds were kind of like, if something happens big in here, we've all got to leg it through this little round sort of hole in the wall, which wasn't a great idea. But we did actually come across a portal in there, which was quite unnerving. And we captured quite a lot in there. There was a lot of growling. There was a lot of breathing behind us. In fact, when we went upstairs in there, my sister-in-law Nina was standing there talking, and then I even heard it as well behind her. Someone actually said her name very loud in her ear, and it made her jump. Well, she was quite freaked anyway, but that kind of set her off. And I actually stood there and heard it as well. And just right after that, my other team member, Maddie, actually started to feel sick. So, yeah, again, that was another one that was very intense. And there was actually a room in there where there was just full of dead crows everywhere. So, yeah, it was very eerie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe says, I remembered this place, Susan. Hello, Susan. Says, keep up the good work. There's Elaine here. Hello to you, Elaine. I hope I'm mentioning it, whether you use messaging at the moment. And to the silent watchers, hello to you. So you mentioned portals. Is there any way of telling if your home, place of work, or an investigation you're on has a portal rather than a normal, typical haunting?
Yes. So I'm going to go back to the old team now, because that was when I was doing house investigations. I actually haven't done any active kind of house investigations sort of outside of the team, apart from one that we done a few weeks ago. But there was one particular one that we done when I was in the old team. We went and done a private investigation. So there was no live. It was just the team going around and doing an investigation, trying to work out what was going on. And this lady actually didn't feel very comfortable in her house, and her children were very scared. So it was definitely an intense feeling the minute you walked in. And I found that a portal were open in one of the dark cupboards upstairs in her hallway. She had numerous cupboards going around the house. But I did say to her, she had an awful lot of mirrors as well. And again, a lot of people say that mirrors around the house can also be an opening to spirit as well. Again, I've not had an experience as such with that, but I do tend to see when I'm standing in the mirror in my house. I've only got one mirror for that reason. When I stand in the mirror in the bathroom, I have seen a little boy run past me. So sometimes people might actually experience sort of paranormal activity through the mirror. And that will be why, because they do say that that's kind of like a portal or an opening to another side. So usually people do tend to advise people to cover their mirrors of a night time, or TVs, because they say that that's when kind of witching hour can be when you can get sort of activity through TV screens, mirrors and stuff like that. But that's not always the case. But, you know, it's something that definitely gets put to people. You know, I did tell this lady to cover any mirrors because she did have quite a few in her house. We done a sage and a cleansing in the house, but whatever it was very strong, because it did sort of come back again, but it died down after we'd been there and saged. And then obviously me and the team split up before we could go back there again to kind of finish it off. So haven't heard anything in terms of that. So I'm hoping that it kind of was under control, or she managed to get someone else in to kind of finish it off. Yeah,
good. Maddie, and I touched the portal and there was a big bang. So is that a bang somewhere else in the house? Has that happened, or a bang there?
When we were in the horror house, this was the abandoned tuberculosis hospital, I believe. It was we was in a room downstairs, and the portal had actually been drawn on the wall. So someone who done that knew what they were doing. It's kind of like an opening to the spirit world in that room, I guess. And Maddie, being Maddie, one of my team members, she gets quite curious, and she went and touched it, even though she got told not to. And as soon as she touched it, there was a loud bang, and none of us had, you know, done anything. I even questioned her husband and said, you know, was it you that banged? But my sister-in-law actually was looking at him at the time, and she confirmed that he hadn't done anything to cause the bang. So, and it was quite loud. We all heard it.
And that's quite amazing. Nylin Sindri, do you do house clearance, Jade? Or did you used to do it?
Does she mean as in like, cleansing? In
Yeah, so
terms of
cleansing. I think what Lynn means, if there's like a stuck spirit that wants to
yeah,
be moved on.
yeah. I wouldn't say I've had many experiences with moving spirit on, but yes, I have definitely done that. Not necessarily in people's houses though, as such, because we didn't do a lot of kind of house investigations in the old team, and we haven't actually done none sort of like recent with this team, apart from the one that I just said. But we have done cleansing in the houses that we have actually been in, but I've not actually been able to or move spirit on from either of those houses, but I have done in locations, yes.
Perfect. Hello to Nikki, who's just joined us. Lorian, have I said hello to you? If I haven't, I do apologise. Kathlina, hello to you. So yeah, it's blimey, it's getting almost to the end of our 90 minutes. It's gone so quickly, which is great. There's a few things that sort of come out. I must tell people that are interested in exploring the afterlife, that Exploring the Afterlife have a members page. I don't usually mention too much about my work, but we have got past life regression coming up on Sunday. That will be through my past life regression channel. And do you want to say again where people can get in contact with you?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to get in contact with me in regards to readings, at the moment, as I said, with private readings, I'm not doing them until September, but I will be up and running them soon. So if you want to contact me for any other reason, I mean, if you want to ask a question, whether it be to do with your home, if you need a team to come out and investigate, or you need a simple question answered regarding your home with a spirit, or to do with a loved one, just message the page Spiritual Senses Paranormal, and I will get back to you and answer as best as I can.
Lovely. We're actually having people saying night. We have got 15 minutes left, so it's nice seeing people say night. It's nice to say your time with us at all. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking if people are watching and thinking, because you said a little bit about potential dangers and things about it, but if you've got people that are so interested in the paranormal, because it's through paranormal investigation, which I haven't done for a while, the interest in ghosts since I was, I guess, about 8, maybe even before that, I started doing, and television programs, I started doing paranormal investigation, but people were sort of getting together and thinking, it would be really nice to get a team together to do something like that. What advice do you give to people who I'm just going to go out and do some investigation now?
I definitely think you need to be 100% in it. It definitely needs to be a passion, something you really enjoy. In terms of, making a team, you definitely need to know that you feel comfortable around the people, and that that it's something you can gain, learn to gain trust with. Because I made the mistake before of having the old team, and it was going great, but things didn't turn out the way that I would have liked them to. So then my journey there with, the paranormal ended. And as much as I was relieved to have it ended because of the way things went, I was also sad as well because it was still a passion of mine and I really still wanted to go out and do it. I just wouldn't do it alone because I wouldn't recommend it. It's definitely dangerous, not just in terms of spirit, but if you are going to, locations in the dark, whether it be outdoors or indoors, it is very, very risky, especially if you're a female as well, because the dangers out there now, even with just people, is very high risk. So, the dangers of going into a building as well that's, falling apart. You're in very, very high danger of anything happening to you. There's been stories where I have heard, an urban explorer going out on their own and they've been impaled by a fence that they were climbing and they were on their own, So I would never recommend doing anything on your own, ever. Always make sure that you've got trustworthy, committed, reliable team members if you're going to create a team.
Brilliant. I just have to say to Libby, private message me and I'll chat and help you out with that. I won't pull up on the screen at the moment, but yeah, do private message me you're welcome. You know where I am. And he says, great night, Paul and Jade. Thank you both very much. Shame it's coming to the end. Love your Tuesday. Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you to say that. So we talked about investigations you've been on. What are the places you absolutely love to investigate? So if somebody says we've got, I mean, you said graveyards can be disappointed sometimes, but if it's like an old abandoned building, a house, is there anything that you hear that when you're investigating you get particularly excited about? Or maybe not investigations, but somewhere you love like just going to and picking up the energies, like an old castle or whatever it is. What excites you most?
I think it really depends on the history. You know, we all know that castles and stuff definitely have a lot of history, because they go back centuries. So castles are definitely up there. Again, I don't over rave with them. You know, I'm not like, whoa, I'm excited, but I do enjoy the history side of it as well. Like, it's nice to kind of connect with spirit that go way back, you know, centuries and centuries ago. But there's one particular place that I would like to get into, but we are one of those teams that would never break and enter. We would never commit illegal crimes just to get in somewhere to perform a live for people. You know, if it's dangerous or it's not accessible, we will not attempt in any way, shape, or form to risk our lives or get arrested for the sake of others being able to watch us go live. Even if it looks great in there, I wouldn't do it. But, you know, there is one that we have tried to get into before, but it's completely shut off. And that's a prison in London. That's completely abandoned at the moment, and it's got a lot of history. It dates back many, 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 many centuries. And there's been quite a few deaths in there as well, as you can imagine. And yeah, there's definitely a story behind those walls. So that would be one place I'd love to get into, but it's not something that I would break into to get into to perform a live. So gutted, but hopefully one day I might get my wish.
Yeah, absolutely. Nailin Sindri, Woodchester Mansion. Have you been?
No. Where is it?
Oh, it's a fantastic place. It's in the Cotswolds. It's Woodchester, quite nearby, so it's not that far for us to get to at all. It's very close to Wootton Under Edge. It's quite a famous place. It's the manor house that was built and was never completed, either because it was too expensive to finish off or too expensive to pull down. But it's fascinating because the workmen's tools are left there, and there's actually a space where they're all up. So if it was back in the days when it was being made, you know, a workman needed his tools and it was his livelihood, and to suddenly just do a runner from the place I can't say it's for definite, but does make me think that something must have frightened them. There's only one complete room in the place, and I think it was when, correct me if I'm wrong, you know the history, Lynn, there's a bishop stayed or something like that. So there's one complete room. Everywhere else is just like open windows, and
Wow.
yeah, fantastic. When I was there, I heard a scream, and then I screamed and sent everybody else screaming off. So it was quite fun. Yeah, half finished Gothic mansion. I'll send you a couple of links afterwards. Lynn's done some stuff there. It's really good. Yeah, I'll drive. Let's go. Yeah.
My nan actually lives in Is it Twinning? In Gloucester. So she's around the Cotswold area.
Good. Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
I'm actually planning to go down my nan's for a week in August. Yeah. It's around my granddad's death, first year anniversary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and spend some time with her. So could be on the cards. Could just go.
Yeah.
And then I'm going out for the day. I'm going to do a paranormal investigation.
Yeah, no, that'd be nice, and I think you should probably like it that you went out and did some things that you.
Me live, so she loved it.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did she think of all the paranormal things? It used to frighten my grandma to death. Everything.
She loves it, and my nan's had quite a few experiences as well. I definitely think she's got some form of gift there, but again, because she's kind of got to an age now where she's not like I've kind of worked out my gift and kind of worked with it at a young age. But she the story she's told me definitely makes me think she's got a gift there. It's just she's never been able to explore it or really understood it, I guess. So, yeah, she's very much into it. She loves it. She watches all the ghost programs. So, yeah, she loves it. As soon as she knows I'm live, she's all excited and ready and waiting. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And my wonderful friend Lynn has got off. So if anybody does want to do it, an investigation there, or yourself, Jade, or anybody,
Yeah,
there it is. Take your screenshots now. So we've got just 5 minutes left. I'll just say about the next guest. The next guest we have on next week is Psychic Beth. She is a wonderful lady. She's been on this morning a few times. She's a psychic medium, animal communicator through her psychic abilities, and host of a spiritual call-in show on Pulse Talk Radio. So that's going to be good. So that's next week. So that's Psychic Beth. So do tune for that. So I'm going to finish off one final question, which I guess is a bit of a cop-out for me, but you know, I ask all these different questions, and I'm not sure if I've asked the most important one or that. So is there anything that I haven't asked you throughout this entire 90 minutes that you'd like to say and you think is important with mediumship, the paranormal field, or whatever it could be?
No, I think we've covered. Most of it. I think, again, the only thing that I would say to everyone is, you know, whether you've got a gift or not, if it's something you want to go down in terms of paranormal, investigating, just make sure that you have trustworthy people and you're always safe and, you know, you're grounded and protected at all times. And as I said, calling out for your guides. It doesn't matter how silly it sounds, whether you've connected with them or not, whether you've had an experience with spirit or not, always call out for them because they are around you, they can hear you, even though you can't hear or see them. And in terms of mediumship, if you believe that there's a gift that you've got lying there, or, you know, there's something you want to explore, go for it. Go for it, but make sure you do the right steps first by making sure that you are definitely protected at all times, regardless. And just enjoy the experience and don't pressure yourself. So best advice I can give you, always chase after your dreams. If there's anything in terms of paranormal and you know, gift of some sort, just go after it. You've got nothing to lose. Just enjoy it, embrace the experience and enjoy it.
Good. Lots of wonderful comments to yourself, Jade. I'd like to thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. Your wonderful kind comments, being here. Thank you to the silent watchers as well. If you're seeing a little bit of the sunset, you might just be able to get a little bit of it on this special solstice day. But I will say good night now. Big thank you, Jade. Thank you so much for spending the evening with us. And you might just to stay on just for 5 minutes afterwards, just so it's not like, right then, bye, I'm going. So it's always nice to finish that way. Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, and I shall see you next week.